Right.
Sorry.
We just got our last closing one. There's some audience participation in this one at the end, so hang around because we want you involved. Basically, with Al and I, as founders of 12Ds, certainly like to thank everybody for coming along. It's been a fantastic conference. Thanks again to all our sponsors. We've seen them a fair few times. As I said before, this has been a record year for sales in both 12D model and the 12D synergy side. And obviously a record attendees here. We had about 520 people, I think, this time. As we said, about 300 new things in 12D model. Basically, lots of things like the menus, hollow water stuff, extended pits, pipes, and so on, diagrams. So we've been trying to put it, these are just a few of those slides I showed in the morning, but there's about 300 different things in there. So I think you'll find lots of interesting things to get you onto version 14, especially things like this for the tunnels where you can do the inside and outside in one spot. So cutting your tri-meshes, all these sorts of things. Some of these things you've been seeing bits and pieces of, but they'll all be there for you. And we'll have information on them all for you so you'll be able to actually use them. There's a what's new in there, which has all this stuff, information in it, so you'll be able to go through that and see all what's new. A lot of actually plotting things, and especially also the MPS, which allows you to do all sorts of spiffy things. Super Inquire, I mentioned a few things there. There's a lot more gone into the Super Inquire. I think this version we may make it the default, so I think it's got at least everything the old Inquire had in it. Chains, a lot of new things in chains, a lot of new macro calls going in. 12D field, the big one, of course, that we're merging setup and pickup. The IFCs, we know more and more about them all the time, and basically you'll see in all these people's presentations, putting the IFC reader back into 4.12 rather than 14 meant a lot of people then have been able to get BIM data in much better than before. And these are examples from ArchiCAD actually, where we brought their buildings in just straight out of their IFC files. User-defined properties, that's our attributes. They can all go out into named data sets inside IFCs. And we also can keep ahead of tracking now these global IDs, which is what a problem, because some of the packages out there use that to be a unique identifier where we all use string names. And we can start seeing the element types. And some of these things are actually going in 12 as well. So you can say, oh, hey, this thing's actually a wall. So it'll go out to an IFC as being a wall. And it's coming, alignment's going to have, or the IFC is going to have alignments and tins in them. So that will make them useful in our civil world. Model tree that Alan was just showing then, and user-defined menus. And as you say, we'll have the sandy button there, so when you ring us up, we can say push on that and find that menu and tell us exactly where that thing is. There's documentation there that's available that's going to be shipped with it, so it's much easier to get it. You don't have to look at it afterwards. And of course, our 12D model forums, do not forget, who's on the 12D model forums? Who goes to them? Ah, great. Because it's a fantastic place for information. We read them all the time. So people answer questions there. Sam writes lots of macros for people. So yep, great. Because the more you put there, the more we can come back and see what you're after and get all sorts of help in there. There's also about 500 videos up there on YouTube. There'll be ones on the new features in 14. So lots of the birds of feather thing will be put in up there over the next couple of months so you can actually go through them. And same as 12D Synergy for all the new things in that. There'll be more training webinars and more training courses to go with version 14. But I'm finding, I think most people have tried the webinars so far. Who's been on to a 12D webinar? I think the other day we saw lots of hands. And we'll keep putting them up there so you can go and look at them later on. Our timeline for release, we've got the forum now, so all those are on maintenance. We have to get back to our office and just build the technical preview version, and then we'll put it on the forum so you can start downloading it. You'll have to get onto us to get a nodes file for it. So you download it, you still have to ask us for a V14 nodes file. So probably send the request into myself or Debbie Gins, and we'll start rolling those out. And the release will come in about October, and we'll keep developing then for the next 2 years of putting extra things in version 14 for you. Because you see there's a lot of new things and it takes time for them to settle down and for people to come up with, oh, we missed this, we missed that. Thank yous, special thanks to Lisa and all her team up there who've been out the front looking after us all. Dale, Debbie, Carolyn, Therese, Megan, Vicky, Jan, Mary Lou, probably forgotten some as well. They're the girls in the white who've been out there registering all and looking after all your questions. All our staff and resellers are here. All our presenters, Thank you very much for all yours. You will get your little gifts. I didn't hand them out, but if you come up to later, we'll give them to you, or I'll see you over the next period and give them to you. Blake on the AV and running all the computers. It's a horrible job. It's amazing what Microsoft never seems to work the next day. But this time everyone's gone very, very smoothly on that side. And our sponsors, which we mentioned a number of times for their help, and the Convention Centre, which I think have put on a great show. And the food part, I know there was some bloody few too many salads, but and those pesky little round things that, why they wouldn't give us sausage rolls. But apart from that, it was all pretty good. And I'm sure you've all put on a couple of kilos. I know I have. And to all our delegates, of course, it was fantastic. You just came in such fantastic numbers. There's one little extra thing that I need to talk about, and that is civil BIM. It's basically a war out there. So we have to be prepared to fight a campaign on this war. First thing, we have to set up a camp for a battle. And I suggest we do it at the 20-kilometre mark, because they think the world's friggin' flat and only goes for 16 kilometres, so they'll never see us there when we're getting ready to attack them. Send them a million-point terrain, so what we're going to fight on. They'll be so busy just mucking around with it so they can fit into their system that we'll be able to take the high ground and be on top of them before they know it. Null Z values. Fire off volley after volley of friggin' null Z values to them. They'll never see them coming. Transition curves. When you see the red of their bow ties, use that transition curve to curl past their defences and spear them. And proudly yell the civil BIM chant. And I'll get you to do this after I show you what you have to do. We are the shock troops of the civil BIM revolution. This is our epoch. This is our epoch. This is our epoch. So everyone, rush to the barricades. Oh. Civil and open BIM needs you. Now it's your turn to do this with me. So if everyone would like to stand up for the last thing at our conference, stand up in your positions. On the count of 3, are we ready? 1, 2, 3. We are the shock troops of the civil BIM revolution. This is our epoch. This is our epoch. This is our epoch. So everyone, rush to the barricades. Civil and open BIM needs you. Thank you for coming to our conference.